Yo, what's up guys? It's the Insane Game Freak here. So, this title could be viewed as relative clickbait, but the point I'm trying to make still stands. And this primarily came from me and another Juices Loose member, Terminator Juice, the leader of the podcast, us having a kind of disagreement in the sense that it's weird because it's like we disagree, but the core of the result of that disagreement really means nothing in the grand scheme of things. So this is obviously talking about Bayonetta 2, and I'm going to make the direct comparison to Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze's Switch ports to kind of make my point clear. So yeah. So, the basis of this argument is that we know that Bayonetta 2 port comes out, I believe, next week or this Friday. I think it's the 16th. Donkey Kong comes out in May. Now, to be fair, we don't know everything that Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze Switch port brings. We've only heard like bits and pieces, whereas with Bayonetta we've heard more because the game comes out in like a fucking week. We've already seen footage, and Digital Foundry has already put out their I guess first impressions of the port. And the disagreement that me and Terminator Juice have is that he thinks that Bayonetta 2 right now not only is worth less because of how lazy of a port it is. It shouldn't cost $60. Well, yeah, disappointing. Yeah, disappointing as a port. Shouldn't cost $60, which I do agree with. And I think Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze is a better sell right now than Bayonetta 2. Now, to make sure to keep this fair, neither one of us disagree with the notion that both of these games should not be $60. We both agree that these games should not be $60. Neither one of them do. But he thinks that Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is a lesser offense than fucking Bayonetta 2, and I'm going to tell you why I completely disagree with that notion. They're both overpriced ports, and to say that Bayonetta 2 is a lazy port would be a pretty fair assumption. It's not I don't know if I would say lazy, but it definitely is a mediocre port. It's not like one of those ports that go, yeah, damn, they blew you away. Because if we talk about the things, and this is where really the comparison comes into, because one of his biggest annoyances is the fact that the game didn't get an up-res bump. It's still 720p on both docked and undocked. And the only bump it seemed to have gotten is a slight, and I mean it's a very minuscule slight up-res and like shadows and shit. Like you will never notice it unless you have freeze-framed an image from Wii U, freeze-framed an image from Switch, and then sat there. And even then, it would take you a minute to be like, what's the difference? Like, it's such a minuscule up-res, it's almost like, I've actually wasted more time talking about it than you will ever notice playing the fucking game. The only real updates the game has noticed, and we haven't seen much from Bayonetta 1, I mean, we don't know an analysis on that one, but as far as Bayonetta 2 is concerned, the only other advantage is that the Amiibo, if you have the Amiibo already, you get to unlock costumes and get halos and shit earlier in the game, which I think is a good reward. It's like, hey, yo, you already own the Amiibo. You can still buy the game. You can still buy these costumes in game. But if you have the Amiibo, you get to play them off at the beginning of the game. And some people who fucking maybe have already played the game before or who haven't but own a Bayonetta Amiibo or like the Mario ones or something, maybe then, hey, look, I can go play the whole game as Samus Bayonetta, which, let's be real, a lot of you will fucking do anyway. A lot of you probably went back and played the game purely for that fucking reason. Alright? And to be fair, the whole point of this argument is kind of dumb anyway, because let's be real. The whole point of both of these ports is because it's for people not like me or Juice. Me or Juice bought both of these games. We own both of these games, and we love both of these games. This ain't for us, because we've already owned and played them. It's for the rest of you who've never got to play Bayonetta 2. And it's not like we disagree that Bayonetta 2 shouldn't have been ported. The problem is that Bayonetta 2 was ported probably earlier than it needed to be. Especially because we know I have a sneaking suspicion Bayonetta 3 will not come out this year anyway. So it's like, did you really need to put the port of the first two games out this fucking early? But in like what I suspect, and I think Juice suspects the same thing, it's probably because they don't really have a big heavy hitter release until March, which is Kirby. And I'm like, yeah, but it's like 1 month. And it's not like you didn't have Dragon Quest Builders out or Payday 2. It's not like you didn't have other games you could have put out that weren't already coming out in February. So I don't know. But the reason why I think Bayonetta 2 is a little bit a easier sell than Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze in comparison is the fact that Bayonetta 2 does do things to... First off, it is an uptick in frame rate. That is good regardless of if the Wii U version didn't play back. Because I played the Wii U version. I have no problem with the Wii U version. But the fact, regardless if the Wii U version isn't that much lower in frame rate, an improvement is an improvement no matter how minuscule it is, alright? It's still something to know. The shadow thing, regardless if you think it looks better or not, the point is, it has more detail and it is smoothed out. Is it really fucking minuscule? Hell yeah, but it's still an improvement. Same thing with the frame rate. Is it like insanely better than the Wii U version? Not specifically, but fuck it, it's an improvement. You still have to count it. Same thing, they turned Tag Climax. That's still an online mode, but it's also now a local player mode. Regardless, if you recall, that's still a benefit. That's still another option I have in this version of the game that I didn't have in the previous version. So it counts as a fucking benefit. Same thing with the Amiibo unlocks. Is it really that big of a deal because the costumes are still in the game and I can still buy them? Fuck no. But hey, look, it's another option. So if I split the fucking money on the Amiibos, guess what? I now get to unlock the costumes early. And get to have an entire Samus or Star Fox or Princess Peach, Daisy, play through a Bayonetta 2 or Bayonetta 1. That's still a thing. And to me, and the reason why I disagree primarily is because the only thing we know about Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze is that, oh, here's a Funky Kong mode. And here's the thing about, and and the other thing I forgot to mention, Bayonetta 2's loading times are shorter. And granted, Bayonetta 2 didn't have insane load times, but it's already been shown in footage, the load times in Bayonetta 2 are shorter, which is fucking great because it's an action game. It's a game that you constantly want to be doing shit in. So the fact that the loading times are shorter, that's another benefit. Are these really minor and minuscule things, or are these things that should have been done in ports anyway? Fuck yes. Does that take away from the advantage that they bring to the Switch gamers who will buy this game? Fuck no, because you are still getting a better experience than what we got on Wii U. Is it like insanely better? No, but it is an improved experience. Compared to Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze that was already locked 60, and I think, and the only thing you can really do to the new one is either add in more worlds, which we don't know, which is why I'm saying for now I don't view Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze as a better sell. You could potentially add in more worlds and content, but right now that hasn't been shown. You have the Funky Kong, and Juice keeps calling it a mode. It's not really a mode. It's literally just a character. It's a character with just better abilities. It's not like the levels change for Funky Kong. Like that's why I can't call it a mode. It's a different character. Like that's like he calls it a mode. It's like I don't think Funky Kong warrants $10. Even if the load screens are shorter, which is something, like we've said, it's still an improvement, but let's say the load screens are shorter, let's say it up-res to 1080, and that's it, and then we got Funky Kong. I'm not counting extra worlds because there's been nothing to imply that being a thing for now. That is not enough for a $10 upcharge, especially because 2 of those things you should do anyway. You should decrease loading times in a up-res port, and the game should be upscaled to 1080. So I'm not giving you $10 for that, and Funky Kong is not a mode. It's a character who has different abilities. It's like saying Dixie Kong and Diddy Kong are modes. They're not. They're just characters with different abilities. Most people would even argue that Dixie Kong and Diddy Kong are just power-ups. Literally, all Funky Kong is just a different character. To me, if it's a mode, the levels would have to be designed for Funky Kong, and they're not. They're literally just the same levels. You just get to play them with Funky Kong. That's why I don't find. So to me, the other key difference is that you could buy Bayonetta 2 for $50 on the eShop, or you could spend like $50 if you wanted to get the physical version by using like a Best Buy or Amazon pre-order discount and shit. Same thing you could do for Donkey Kong, but the problem is with Donkey Kong is that you would just be getting just as much as you paid for it in the Wii U version, and that's by doing discounts. It's not by not having discounts. That's by doing discounts to get it at the price it was when it launched 4 years ago. Whereas Bayonetta 2 is the same price, and if you still didn't want to spend $60 on Bayonetta 2 only, you just spend $50 on the eShop. Because the game's like, what, 12 gigs, I think I looked up? I think Bayonetta 1 is 8.5, and I think Bayonetta 2 is like 12, I believe. And here's the other kicker. At least you're getting 2 games with Bayonetta 2. Like, to sit there and tell me, like, that's the reason why I disagree. To tell me that Donkey Kong is less offensive as a port, bullshit. Like, that's, to me, that's bullshit. I mean, that's fine. Like I said, it's at the end of the day, we still agree they're both overpriced. They both banned, but I think Bayonetta is more justified being 60 than fucking Donkey Kong is. I'm not talking about the quality of the games. I'm talking about in terms of selling old games to you. At least I'm still getting 2 games. And some people go, but you don't get a disc with Bayonetta 2. So, I understand. Look, I understand what he's trying to say when he says it. But saying I don't get a disc with Bayonetta 2, that means it shouldn't be $60. No, the game shouldn't be $60 regardless if I get a disc with Bayonetta 1 anyway on it. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Bayonetta 1's disc is a digital code, and Bayonetta 2 still is a cartridge. I mean, that's what... Fuck, I messed that up. Yeah, Bayonetta 2 is a cartridge, and Bayonetta 1 is a digital download. That's to me, that's irrelevant. It's irrelevant, particularly because it has nothing to do with the core of the situation, which is the fact that I'm still getting 2 games. I'm still getting 2 games, and the first game isn't even like 10 gigs. The first game is like 8 gigs. Now, granted... he has a fair argument to make that if you don't have that space available on your Switch, you got to get an SD card. Although, considering you've known that before the game comes out, I feel like it's still a fair thing to know that in advance, the game's already up for preload on the fucking eShop, and if you wanted to just buy the first one, you get that one for $30. So, I mean, I can't in good conscience agree with the concept that Donkey Kong, as of now, is a better sell than Bayonetta 2. Like, at all. Because Funky Kong isn't a mode, it's a character. And I don't count that as a mode because that's not changing. That's like saying extra characters are different modes in the game. They're not. Extra characters are just different gameplay mechanics built into the character. It's not like the levels change for Funky Kong. That's why I would say he's a character, not a mode. An extra playable character, not a mode. 1080p, not enough. And to me, the true kicker is the fact that it's $10 more than when it was released. And the only thing we know of that's being added is a fucking character that a lot of people don't even want to play as because he's considered an easy mode. Now, once again, an improvement is an improvement, so that's fine. Also, let's not forget that Bayonetta 2 will also still support the touchscreen controls that were on the Wii U version, and arguably it will be better because it's a capacitive touchscreen compared to the single touchscreen that fucking the Wii U gamepad was. So, you're telling me a game that offers you 2 games for $60, there's obviously an increase, there's a very minor, but there is a slight increase in texture quality. You now have Amiibo compatibility for those who've already bought the Amiibo, so now you get the unlocks. Your online mode is also now doubles as a local multiplayer mode. I feel like I'm missing something. And the frame rate increase. The frame rate fucking increased. Those things compared to a new character, a possible up-res, because the game already ran at 60, so there's nothing else you can do for the frame rate. The game ran at 60, so a possible up-res to 1080, a new character, and... was there something else I'm missing? Oh, and decreased loading times, which I could add that to Bayonetta 2 and 1. Well, we know for 2 for sure. That's 6. Oh, and the game is $10 more than when it released 4 years ago. I don't know how you could possibly view Bayonetta as more offensive. Do I think it's still a mediocre port? Oh, fuck right. It's still mediocre because we all know that they did not need to release this in February, and they could have done more with the port. Which is what people rather them do. I'd rather you just waited. But what are you going to do at this point? We're talking about the reality, not what we wish it happened. The game shouldn't be 60. But hey, at least I have the ability from Nintendo directly to get the game cheaper, $10 cheaper for $50. For just buying the first game. I still get every other benefit. I just don't get the first game with it. And even if I want it, and even then, I can then buy the first game for $10 off of the eShop. There is no through Nintendo way of getting the game cheaper. So I'm just saying, I cannot fathom how you could view Donkey Kong as a better sell or as a more justified port than Bayonetta 2. Because you know what really would have helped Donkey Kong? If they had bundled in the Wii game and just up-resed it. And like I said, we're talking about what ifs here, but I'm just saying, you can't, to me, I don't understand how Donkey Kong is viewed as less offensive to you than fucking Bayonetta 2. That's insane. I can't. I personally cannot. I can't even. Anyways, I'm gonna just leave it at that. Like I said, none of this is hate. I just wanted to put my 2 cents out here. And if you guys agree or disagree, let me know in the comments. Like I said, we both agree they're both overpriced ports and they're both pretty mediocre to lazy ports. I just view Donkey Kong as way more offensive. And at the end of the day, these ain't for us anyway. These are for you who never bought the game. And let's be real here. I'm going to be fair and real with you. If you ask me, would it be smart to buy Bayonetta 2 on Wii U or Switch, I would most definitely tell you to buy it on Switch. Do I think it's overpriced on Switch? Yeah. But that's coming from a guy who owned the original game. It's still like, as a $60 purchase, if you just look at it objectively, it's fine. It's a perfectly fine sell for someone who's never played Bayonetta 2 before. Whereas Donkey Kong, if you're not a person who gives a fuck about an easy mode, and it's not like, and you don't mind the loading times, I would still tell you to get I would tell you to buy the Wii U version, because I think now you can get it for like $30 compared to the $60 you gotta pay just for maybe a possible up-res, an easy mode, and fuck. See, that's why I keep forgetting, because there's nothing really new about Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Oh, and possible quicker loading times, which that hasn't been confirmed. I'm just saying. No, you could buy the Wii U version and you really wouldn't miss out on anything, personally. Because Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze still looks beautiful. So does Bayonetta 2, but Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, I would argue, is the better looking game overall. And I don't think the Switch is going to do anything graphically for that game. But hey, you know, I don't know. But anyways, leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. No hate, just saying, life's a game, play to win. And I will catch you guys later. Peace. Oh, shit. Boy, no, that's somebody else's catchphrase. I won't use it.